I'm Stephanie. Welcome to Fiction Files. This is the playlist where I talk about all things writing, and I wanted to continue doing some character studies, and I'm revisiting shows I grew up with in the 90s, so I'm doing another Charmed video. Now, I love the OG Charmed. I grew up with these witches. I was into it. But now, as an adult, I see the show through a different lens. I see the characters through a different lens. And boy, oh boy, do I have some thoughts about the character of Phoebe Halliwell. Like I said in my profile of Carrie Bradshaw, Phoebe is a character. I understand that. We're not perfect, and we want to see other imperfect people overcome their flaws and challenges. We want characters with flaws. It's tough, because these characters also cannot be perfect, as we don't want Mary Sue's. It's a balancing act in creating a relatable, interesting, and flawed main character. But there are times when flawed characters become intolerable characters. Worse, these characters often never go through an arc, develop, or change in any meaningful way. Worse still are characters that go backwards in their development or undo any meaningful change. And Phoebe is a character who goes backwards in her development. I'm going to focus this study on her on seasons 1 through 7, as season 8 is a tacked-on bonus season that the actresses didn't even seem interested in doing. And it's a season that simply recycles previous plots and shoehorns in relationships and so-called happy endings for our Charmed ones. So let's talk about Phoebe and what we can learn from her as writers. Her motivation. Season 1 Phoebe can be annoying. She's the youngest sister and is kind of a brat. And I feel comfortable saying this, as being the baby of the family, I was also a brat at the age Phoebe was when the show started. It actually made sense, both for the story and for her as a character. It gave her room to grow and mature and evolve. It set up realistic flaws for her to overcome, such as being selfish, not thinking about the consequences of her actions, being impulsive, and expecting her sisters simply to give in to what she wants, because as the youngest, she's used to getting what she wants. This tied into her motivation as well. She's coming home to reunite with her sisters. They're still mourning the loss of Grams, and she wants to be an active participant in the Halliwell trio. She's coming home and wants to rebuild the relationships she has with Prue and Piper. And by coming home, she reads the incantation that gives them their powers. Phoebe reading that spell sets them on the path to witchcraft, and she embraces it. She wants to use her powers. She wants to be different. She wants to protect the innocent and do the right thing, even if it's inconvenient or hard. She even spends time learning how to channel and call for her power so she can tap into it better. Sadly, this is abandoned, and after season 1, her power of premonition happens to her instead of her being in control of it. But I will take what I can get with Phoebe. By season 5, Phoebe's motivation was to be famous. And before vanquishing Cole, it was having the perfect marriage and being the queen of the underworld. But I digress. She wants to be famous with her advice column. The frustrating thing is that her advice column could have meant something to the show. Actually, I want to go on a little tangent rant for a second. All of their jobs could have meant something to the show. They had such potential when Prue worked at the auction house. Sure, a few episodes here and there had her job tie into the magical plot, but not as much as it could have. Piper's job honestly made zero sense, as she wanted to be a chef, but the producers needed musical guest stars, so sorry Piper, your dreams are dead. And Phoebe could have used her empathy power in her columns. She could have found innocence to help through her column. She could have accidentally used magic in helping her readers. But no, it was shoved in because I think someone really liked the popularity of Sex and the City and really, really wanted to be Sex and the City, sometimes with magic. When Phoebe is famous for her column, she often seems annoyed that Paige asks for Phoebe's help in saving people or doing something magic-related. You are a charmed one, Phoebe. You're always the one who told Prue and Piper to shut up when they talked about giving up their powers, but you don't do anything useful with them now anyway. I honestly have no idea what Phoebe wants. Her motivation through season 4 was solid, and then it kind of just disappears. Season 1, Phoebe's motivation was to reconnect with Prue and Piper and learn to control her powers so she can protect innocence. Season 2, go back to college and take out the monster of the week and protect innocence. Season 3, finish college and save Cole from his demonic past. Season 4, reconstitute the Charmed Ones and vanquish the Source. Season 5, get her column syndicated, have her face on billboards and bus benches, and date rich men. Maybe vanquish Cole, but really, Paige should be the one making the potion for Phoebe. Season 6, be famous, and maybe figure out who Chris is, and learn to control her empathic abilities, because other people are annoying her with all their stupid feelings. Season 7, find her future baby daddy and team up with the avatars so she won't have to help people with her magic. See how the magic becomes much of a smaller point? It's a show about witches. Phoebe's goals and motivations don't naturally progress past season 4. They're just picked at random. And past season 4, she never has to work at anything or overcome obstacles. We don't even see her interview for this job, nor ever express interest in writing or wanting to be a therapist of sorts. She just gets the job and is so amazing, and everyone is lucky that they get to breathe the same air as her. It's boring for the audience. As writers, we need to explain our characters' motivations and show the work they're putting in to achieve their goals. Motivations will change during a story, sure, but they need to make sense with the character and overall plot we're presented with. I don't care about Phoebe's career and search for a husband. I care about the magic, their sisterhood, and doing things that the rest of us can't or might not want to do. The show started with the premise of these sisters being selfless and using their powers for good. But being selfless is not Phoebe's strong suit. Rules for thee, not for me. I've already mentioned that Phoebe has been selfish since season 1, but her selfishness continues to get worse, and she never grows out of her mentality of rules for thee, not for me. In season 1, she's constantly raiding Prue's closet and taking her clothes and bitching when Prue says Phoebe has time to do household chores. Phoebe? You do. Prue and Piper both work long hours so you can live at your childhood home rent-free. In season 2, she gets mad when Leo has pretty much moved into the manor, which Piper should have talked to them about it, but then she starts making a list about what Leo can and cannot do in the Halliwell manor and gets pissy because Leo orbs in unannounced. Might I add, he orbs into Piper's room as Phoebe is raiding Piper's closet and throwing her clothes all over the floor. The worst example of this is in season 4, when right after practically forcing Paige to move into the manor, Phoebe's ready to move out with Cole. It's fine if she wants to leave. To be fair, she also told her deceased mother and grandmother and sister Prue to not bother showing up as a ghost to her wedding. Nice, Phoebes. It doesn't even make sense with Phoebe's character, actually. Cole is from the magical community. Why the hell are they getting married in a church? Why isn't Gramps performing the hand fasting ceremony for her and Cole like she did for Piper and Leo? Why isn't Prue there in spirit? I mean, I know why for the show's production, as they didn't have likeness rights, but it should have at least been mentioned. Hell, they could have reused the whole, it's too soon to see her and you need to mourn and move on first line. Honestly, maybe one Halliwell wedding was enough for Grams to say, I'm just going to stay in the afterlife for the next one. But even before their unholy union, there's an episode where Phoebe gets to break all the rules. A big deal of their magic is not to use it for personal gain. So, Phoebe, having doubts about Cole, casts a spell to see if she should marry him or not. How is that not personal gain? In that same episode, Paige realizes that she has to turn down a promotion at work because she used magic in a previous episode to help a woman, and this is an unintended consequence of that spell. Phoebe is all, uh-oh, personal gain, when Paige tells them about the promotion. But sure, she can use her magic to make a very personal decision for her. In season 6, when Chris is realizing he might not ever be born, because of his own stupid actions, I will add, Phoebe is all, well, maybe this is his destiny. He came to do our jobs, and now he'll just cease to exist. Why can't he just accept that? Oh, I'm sorry, Phoebes. Why didn't you just accept it back then in season 2 when your past life curse came a-calling? That was obviously your destiny to have your soul cursed. You should have just let it do its job. Phoebe becomes a hypocrite, and she doesn't learn from it. She feels she's in the right to be a hypocrite. Others should bend to her will simply because. It's frustrating as a viewer because she never realizes her own errors and gets to move through life scot-free. Things that could make her an interesting character and one who becomes better because she learns from her mistakes and failings isn't who we get. As writers, we can't be afraid to make our characters suffer and have to go through some trials and tribulations to get their happily ever after. No one wants to read or watch a Mary Sue get exactly what she wants all the time without doing anything of value to get it. When she was fighting for her relationship with Cole, it was layered. There was conflict. She had to trust his human half. She had to put her faith in his love for her. She had to make the choice to protect him, knowing demons are hunting him. But all that effort, all of their sacrifices, made their short-lived, happily ever after worth it. It was the light at the end of the tunnel, and we wanted them to get there. Her traits come and go as the plot needs them to. Back in season 1, we know Phoebe didn't finish pursuing a higher education. She moved to New York and lived independently of her sisters. She wanted to find out who she was without their influence. Makes sense. We find out that from living there, she has some skills and traits that her sisters don't have, such as being a pickpocket, having street smarts, and being good with computers and technology, back in the day when loading a web page took a full 7 minutes. It also makes sense that some of these traits change or she doesn't use them as much as she gets older. But later on, her traits and skills come and go as the plot needs them. I mean, I could write a whole episode specifically on what the writers forget half the time, or how they'll swap a character's personality and motivations just so a plot point can happen, or so one of the sisters gets a witty line of dialogue. But season 1 Phoebe says she's good with people, and she even has a job for a day where she understands the hierarchy of the office. But season 5, she's practically bossing Elise around, and doesn't seem to be great with people in the office. She's always exasperated or furious that her editor actually edited her article. She's loyal and wants a monogamous relationship, but the second Jason heads back to Hong Kong for work, Phoebe is filling her calendar with dates. This, too, is something I could say about Piper, but Phoebe from season 7 is unrecognizable as Phoebe from season 1. We want characters to evolve, but we also need to know who they are at their core. Those traits are harder to change. Season 1 Phoebe was a great character. Sure, she was annoying and selfish at times, but at her core, she was a good person. She wanted to see the best in people, but also took steps to not be taken advantage of. She may not be as educated as her sisters, but she had a lot of ingenuity. She thought about things in a way her sisters didn't, and that often helps save the day. As writers, we need to make our characters believable, and we need to make our characters recognizable. Readers or viewers should be able to sum up a character, their wants, their dislikes, and have a general idea of how they might make decisions the way they do. When characters act however the plot needs them to, it sticks out. It feels forced. Characters shouldn't lose traits or motivations for episodes or chapters, just so the story can happen. The truth is that as a kid watching this, I loved Phoebe. Even watching it now as an adult. I love Phoebe. Until the back half of season 4, after they vanquish the Source. I don't know who the hell this person is saying that they're Phoebe Halliwell. Season 3 Phoebe is just kind of dumb, and I can't imagine how tired her brain is from all the mental gymnastics she has to do to not realize that Cole's a demon. But she felt like a natural evolution of the character from the season before. She was maturing. She was going after her education to then go after a career of her choosing. She was still clever and could think outside the box. She still cared about protecting innocence and using her magic for good, not just for herself. She stumbled along the way, but it made her feel real. She had a balance of good traits and choices, and poor ones that helped her grow. After her relationship with Cole, the writers refused to let her suffer or have any real setbacks. She's never at fault, even when she is. I do think the real root of the issue is the tonal shift of the show. It became less about sisters who are witches and have to use their powers to save people, and became a show about 3 women who happen to be sisters on their quests for love and careers, and maybe they'll use their powers to save people. There's a real point about heroes wanting normal lives and wanting normal things, but choosing to sacrifice those things for the greater good. They have a higher calling, a duty to their magic. But along the way, Phoebe stopped caring about her higher calling. She stopped caring about magic unless she could use it to turn her competition into literal turkeys or pigs, or use her empathy power to make sure her boyfriend wasn't going to break up with her first. That's not the Phoebe we were introduced to. That's not who she should have become. I could have seen her being set up to be a future whitelighter. She could see the future and prevent bad things happening to good people. She could empathize with people in the present and help them deal with overwhelming emotions. She could actually use her powers to guide and protect. She could even use her experience of going to the dark side to help others from going down that path, or helping them redeem themselves afterward. But no. we waste the potential of Phoebe and turn her into a woman obsessed with finding a man and fame to validate her. Girl power. So, what else can we learn as writers by studying characters like Phoebe Halliwell? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching Fiction Files.